Hi, my name is Ellie Burns. I'm the Director of Nonprofit Relations here at the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines, and I am with my friend Nick Roby from the Drake Transactional Entrepreneurial Legal Clinic, and we just have some questions that we were going to go through that nonprofits might have for the legal clinic and for Nick specifically, so thanks for being here.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so just start by telling us, what is the legal clinic, who's it for, what are you guys do in the community?
Sure. Our Drake Legal Clinic is a program of the Drake Law School. So it is intended to provide hands-on, real-life legal practice experience for our law students. So they spend one semester in a variety of clinics that they select at our legal clinic. Ours is the Entrepreneurial and Transactional Clinic. It represents targeted small businesses and community nonprofits on organizational and transactional legal matters. We hope to provide those two great complementary benefits: hands-on real-life experience for our law students and giving back to the community and the nonprofit organizations in providing good, free legal services.
Yeah, that's great. So we have a lot of nonprofit leaders and board members that we interact with, and we were just curious, what are some different legal responsibilities for both staff versus board?
That's a frequent question that's asked both by organizations and by volunteers and potential volunteer leadership in those organizations. And there are a number of things that folks should take into account. Again, those who are recruiting community leaders to serve on their board or become staff members, as well as those who are being recruited. Iowa law is pretty good to provide protection with respect to those leaders, with respect to ordinary kind of missteps, perhaps, that could occur while managing or overseeing the operations of a nonprofit organization. The law, again, provides non-liability in most circumstances for just honest mistakes. There is liability imposed, for egregious management issues. Most organizations also provide a broad indemnification, so the organization itself will indemnify directors and officers for any costs or expenses they incur as a result of lawsuits or other claims made against them in their capacity as a director or officer of the organization. And then finally, it's usually a good idea for most organizations to at least consider director and officer's liability insurance so that there's a third-party source to cover the costs associated with defending a claim that is made by a third party or someone in the organization against a director or officer. So all those things should be taken into account.
Yeah, thank you. What should nonprofit leaders be thinking about when considering hiring staff?
Right, that's a big step for organizations, just like it is for for-profit businesses who have spent some time operating, in the case of a nonprofit organization, through volunteers, both volunteers on the board as well as volunteers carrying out the charitable activity of the organization. An organization is going to have to first determine that it has the funding available to fulfill its commitment to its employee or employees that they bring on. And then they're going to have to determine how are they going to deal with all of the federal and state regulations dealing with employees, including the tax obligations. So that's usually something that new employers have to grapple with and determine how are they going to complete their payroll and care and make sure they're complying with all their responsibilities. And there's various ways in which that can be done, completely in-house to payroll firms who will take that burden off of the employer, but of course for a fee. And then there are other materials available out there to determine exactly how an organization is going to make sure it can fulfill all the new responsibilities and obligations it has once it brings on its first and second and third employee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Something we've talked about is you're a tax exempt organization, but you're not exempt from payroll tax.
That's right. That's right. The tax exemption refers only to your income tax situation. Most all of the payroll tax rules and obligations apply to nonprofit and charitable organizations exactly the same as for-profit entities.
Sure. What happens when an employee isn't the right fit? What does a nonprofit need to have in place or to think about legally?
Right. Hopefully, there's been a long discussion about that, frank discussions with the organization and the employee as things have not gone as expected when the employee was initially hired, that there has been given a fair opportunity to improve and meet the expectations that the organization has. Not only meetings of that, but documentation that those meetings took place, that those things were discussed, and that there was an outline of steps to improve in order for the employee to remain in good standing as an employee of the organization. If the time does come where it's necessary to part ways with an employee, that there's evidence and documentation there that the employee was on notice, the employee was given an opportunity to improve, knew what their expectations were, and that upon not fulfilling those, that a determination was made to terminate.
Document.
Yes.
So what's maybe one of the most common questions or challenges that you hear from nonprofits that you guys help with?
Well, surprisingly, we deal with a lot of nonprofit charitable organizations who it's challenging for them to meet their tax reporting obligations. Even though they're tax exempt, you would think that that's pretty simple to comply with those. But the rules governing tax exempt organizations are quite complicated. From the initial application for tax exempt status that most organizations need to file with the IRS, that relatively long form application requesting a determination of tax exempt status, to maintaining that tax exempt status as they move forward and operate. They could be engaging in an unrelated trade or business, which is a taxable activity even for tax exempt organizations. They need to make sure they're filing their annual notice or return on Form 990 with the IRS, and if they fail to do that, some serious consequences can occur. They can have their 501c3 tax exemption revoked if they fail to do that. Other things we deal with are organizations who originally adopted sort of a standard set of bylaws, which they didn't really have customized or tailored to their particular situation. And then only sometime later, after organization, is there a discovery that they don't fit very well, the needs of this organization. So they really need to either start over or have some kind of a comprehensive redrafting of those internal rules that are set forth in the bylaws on how the organization operates. So that is a project that is well suited for our student lawyers, and they learn a lot and they can provide a lot of value to the nonprofit organization by, again, tailoring and customizing those bylaws so they fit and work well with the specific organization.
Yeah. So the students, they have a semester-long sort of engagement with the clinic. So good times to reach out to you with potential projects would be.
So again, we make those initial assignments in mid-January and mid-August as our spring and fall semesters begin. So the weeks leading up to that are great times. I'm always looking to fill out the client roster of our student attorneys at those times. So we have the ability to bring on, and we routinely do, bring on new clients and new cases mid-semester. And again, some of those, depending on the type of project get completed during that semester, others are kind of carried over. I'm a full-time year-round employee, so I'll make sure they get some attention between those semesters until a new student attorney can arrive and work directly with that organization to get that project complete.
I just want to thank you so much, Nick, for joining me and answering some of these questions and all the amazing services that you do provide to our community. I know.
Well, thank you, Ellie. It's been a pleasure being here. And again, we really do love what we do. The student attorneys are very committed. They're young, they're new at this, and they want to do a great job. So they do really embrace the engagements they have, particularly with our nonprofit organizations. And I think the large percentage of our clients are very happy with the quality of the work that's done and the service they get from our student attorneys.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.